What's going on, my good people? Welcome into another show of the H&H Podcast. That's Henry Lake. I'm Ahmad Hicks, and some big news came out in the NFL world. So obviously, Seahawks, Sam Darnold, and Drake May, and the New England Patriots going to the Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl 60. But I think bigger news than that, Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, that's insane.
That's 8 titles.
Yeah.
And not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Can we name 3 coaches better than him?
No, of course not. We can't.
So what are we doing, people who's voting on that?
Wait, did he win 8?
Yes, he won 6 with Tom Brady, and then he had 2 before he got there. He had 1 with Parcells, I believe, with
Oh, but I'm thinking of head coach.
No.
Okay,
Yeah. He got 8 overall titles.
I mean,
you questioning my knowledge here.
It's insane. It's ridiculous, and it is personal. I don't think there's anybody out there that can look at this situation and not view it as a personal gripe that people have against Bill Belichick. Like, it has nothing to do with his coaching ability. Do I think that some people will say, well, he cheated a couple times? Yeah, he did. But there's no way that you look at Bill Belichick and say that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, he won one with the Giants as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I think that people being upset or people calling in the voting process and everything into question and the privacy that those voters have. When you do this, people
you need to be outed.
Yeah, people should know.
Because what's your ball knowledge? Like, tell me what your ball knowledge is. Like, if you got the courage to sit up here and say Bill Belichick.
It's not ball knowledge, though. It's personal. It has nothing to do with ball knowledge.
Well,
it's personal.
And that's what I'm saying.
Bill Polian.
That was crazy.
Bill Polian.
That was crazy.
When they started putting the screws to him a little bit, like, did you vote? And he was like, I'm 95% sure. And it just got worse throughout the
then
evening.
He walked it back this morning.
He walked it back this morning?
He basically said, I can't remember.
Yeah, he said that last night too.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Well, maybe I just heard it this morning. He said, I can't remember.
How do you not remember? You're Bill Polian. Like, yeah, you didn't vote for him. You didn't.
It's a lot of jealousy. Yep. And I said this in my group chat with my guys, Reggie Wilson and Norman Seawright, yesterday in our group chat. And I said, basically, he tarnished his reputation on the way out of New England. After Tom Brady left, making Matt Patricia a defensive coach or offensive coordinator, just running the team into the ground, still being that arrogant prick, as some people will call him, even though he wasn't winning. I think he tarnished and what do you say? He tarnished his reputation on the way out, and he also closed some doors in regards to people who like him, things he did, stuff like that, and he burned some bridges when he left. And I think that is people now paying him back, saying, you know what, you did all that, you don't want to listen to this, you've been saying this since you got to North Carolina, now we about to stick it to you.
Yeah, I think in society right now, and specifically in sports, we're seeing more and more of that, where if you have been a person that has kind of snubbed people, not treated people with the utmost respect, then later on, people that have a little bit of power, whether it's through voting process or whatever, they're going to hold that against you.
And they come back every time with a vengeance. That. And I think it's unfair. You talk about 8 titles, 2 as a defensive coordinator with the Giants, and then 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. I mean, that's first ballot Hall of Famer resume off the rip, no matter what you say. Tom Brady, we all know, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep.
So to say that his coach who helped him get to the mountaintop 6 times, isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer with him, slap in the face says a lot about the people voting. And I say this all the time.
Robert Kraft is eligible.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like, how is the coach that won all the titles, how is he not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but
it's like this, like the people who vote on this stuff. Who are you? Like, who are you? What's your ball knowledge? Why did you get certified to go do this? And if you're doing this, you need to be able to set your personal pride to the side, your ego, and vote with, just like they tell us in news, you have to be neutral, like with everything that's going on. And so I hate to see that. When I saw it yesterday, I was genuinely shocked. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, but that also speaks volumes to our climate in 2026 about how people hold grudges for a very long time. People in powerful positions, people in decision-making positions, doing things that is a personal reflection of how they feel. And in spite of, hey, you did this, you accomplished this, I may not like you, but I'm going to respect what you did. I don't think they were respecting Bill Belichick right there.
Yeah, no, I'll say it again. I think this is all personal. There's nobody with any sort of football knowledge that can look at Bill Belichick and say that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think that nobody out there believes that.
Yeah.
When you got people, voters, coming out and saying, "Hold on, I voted for him. I don't get it." When you have a bunch of them say that, then you know something is up.
Right. So that being said, I'm sure Bill will get in next year, especially after all this backlash this year. He's more than deserving. Now let's talk about the other big topic in the football world. The Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold are going to Super Bowl 60. So the big narrative, big storyline, of course, around here in Minnesota. Would the Vikings be playing in Super Bowl 60 had they kept Sam Darnold?
No. No, they would not. They would not. I think that the bigger question is this an indictment on Kwesi and KOC that they didn't see enough, or they misjudged and misevaluated JJ when they saw Sam Darnold last year and not bring him back? I think that is the question. And I think realistically, there's two things here. Number one, the situation with Sam Darnold was already a done deal. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say this is because after those final two games, fans were ready to move on from Sam Darnold.
Against the Lions and the Rams.
And you had already had J.J. McCarthy as your previous draft pick. So, to me, let's not act as though we were not anticipating looking at seeing J.J. eventually become the future quarterback.
But were a lot of people ready to move on from Sam after 14 wins?
Not everybody.
Okay.
Not everybody.
Fair.
That leads to my second point. We overemphasized the final two games. We judged too harshly Sam Darnold based on the way that it ended. Mm-hmm. You looked at the Detroit game, you look at the LA game, and it was a mess. Mm-hmm. And I think that we probably graded him too harshly on those.
I can agree with that. Because there was a lot of people saying, well, look what Sam did against the really good teams with defensive lines. He didn't do good, so he's not really deserving of that pay yet. Dang, man, like that's a small sample size. 14 wins, and you holding him to the fire for how he played against two teams, not mentioning the fact that the Vikings offensive line was not good at that point of the season. They lost the best left tackle in all of football in Christian Darrisaw at that time last year, and they were banking on Cam Robinson to get the job done. He did okay, but it was just a serviceable job just to get you to the next week, not to be a cornerstone on the offense. And so when people ask me this question now, well, what do you think about the Vikings? Okay, look, all right. Seattle's run game is really good, like really good. You can make the argument that Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, before he tore his ACL, probably a much better backfield than Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Let's just be honest about that. JSN, wide receivers, we know who has the better wide receiver core, but who has the better defense? One could make the argument that the Seahawks have the best defense in the National Football League.
You can make that argument.
So it's like, all right. So it's like they have a good offensive line. They have a superb defense, and they have a great rushing attack with the best wide receiver, we'll say second best wide receiver in football, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Writing's on the wall for them to have success. Whereas in Minnesota, you didn't have that great offensive line. Your defense was good at the end of the year, but they weren't great all year long. And so who's to say that Sam Darnold would have came out there and matched 14 wins from last year because the defense wasn't playing up to their potential because of the injuries the first 8 weeks of the season. So that being said, I love to say that I think it's just Minnesota people being Minnesota people. Like, it's always easier to say what you should have did or should have done 100%. In hindsight. You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of people were happy for J.J. McCarthy when he finally got the keys to the ship. So I won't sit here and be like, man, this is on the front office and they should have did this. We knew Sam Darnold was going to be like this. We didn't know that.
No, I don't think that the majority of Vikings fans at the end of the season, the way it went down, believed in Sam at that particular point. They wanted to move on. And I'm going to raise my hand and say that I was looking for something fresh too. But one thing I will say is that, you know, with Kwesi and just the organization as a whole with regards to spending money in free agency, I think that fans should look and question Kwesi maybe even more because he's being questioned already, but even more because you've got Sam Darnold that exits the building, and then you bring in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, and they were flops. Let's just call for what it is. So when I get it, every team has to deal with salary cap issues, but you can't have people leaving the building and getting to a Super Bowl, and you got people entering the building, and they don't give you much production.
You know,
and you know that's right.
I can't say you're wrong because before the season, I was one of the people I was dying on that hill like, man, these are such great additions. Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. It's exactly what you need because when you play a Rams team in the playoffs, you need to be able to stop the run. And that's something the Vikings team could not do. And I'm thinking at the beginning of the year, man, you got Levi Drake Rodriguez, you got Jalen Redmond, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Jonathan Allen, and you got Harrison Phillips. Then they trade away Harrison Phillips. And you're like, okay, Javon Hargrave and Allen must be that good. And then they weren't that good during the season, and you start to think like.
I didn't get the Allen thing at all from day one.
Coming off a major injury.
And up there in age, I think that – and look, he is a phenomenal – from the people that I know that are close to him, his agent is local, Blake Beards. Sounds like an amazing human being. He's had a great career. But I just didn't see it. Like from an age standpoint and the injuries racking up, I think at this particular point, I don't want to say Jonathan Allen is just a good player in name only. I'm not going to disrespect my man. But, I mean, it's getting to that point.
He flashed, but he's past his prime.
Yeah.
We can all agree. He's not the Jonathan Allen that came out of Alabama that was just wreaking havoc on offensive lines. Yeah, that guy was crazy coming out of Bama.
He's had a great career, too.
He has. And look, I was the one saying this last offseason. No way the Vikings could have done anything to improve their team if they gave Sam Darnold a 2-year, $50 million deal. I was the one saying that. Now, we assess it after the season. You look at Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. They got $50 million basically between those two dudes. Vikings probably would have been better had they kept Sam Darnold and just started Jalen Redmond and Levi Drake Rodriguez and kept Harrison Phillips there.
I'm going to tell you what hurt me the most, though. And I can't be the only Viking fan that feels this way. The thing that hurts me the most is the team that put us out and we couldn't get past last year in the postseason is the team that Sam Darnold just beat to get to the Super Bowl. Why? Why?
But that's also not the same team. Their defense is not as good this year.
No, I'm just saying it just hurts. We don't have to get into the specifics and of every. It hurt. That part hurts.
Look, it hurt me because I'm a Rams fan too. So it's like that's my squad. I was hoping they went to the Super Bowl, but Sam Darnold, as Marshawn Lynch would say, Ginger Cuz got the job done. Ginger Cuz got the job done. So he's headed to the Super Bowl. How do we feel about that matchup between him and second-year quarterback Drake May, who we all know the Vikings loved and adored during the draft process and would have traded up and gave up several first-round picks to get Drake May over J.J. McCarthy, who I still am not sold on in Drake May. My man's had, 84 passing yards in the AFC Championship, 140 the week before. That's not elite quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean, but neither was the weather conducive to elite quarterback play. The weather after the first half, I mean, that second half was kind of a.
You ain't never seen no quarterbacks put up good numbers in snow games?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
but I saw him make some plays down the stretch in that game to get the victory. I'm not saying Drake May's all that, but
not yet, at least.
Yeah.
So what you think about the matchup? Who you think wins?
You got to give me a little time, man. I don't
time.
Know,
what you mean?
Man, I mean, I'll have a selection by the time we do the show next week. I just don't know right now. I haven't even dived into it.
I got Seahawks by 10. Seahawks by 10. I think that defense is fire. I think they can score against anybody. And I think JSN is going to go off against Christian Gonzalez. So I got Seahawks by 10.
I think that you might be underrating the Patriots defense.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I still think that offense that can score is the offense that typically wins the game. And Drake May hasn't proven to me that he can light up the scoreboard and go point for point with them. So I'm going.
They're the favorites for a reason.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks. I said it before. Whoever won that game in the NFC Championship between the Rams and the Seahawks, those were going to be the Super Bowl winners. Mm-hmm. So I'm standing on that, even though I'm salty the Rams aren't in it. All right, let's talk a little hoops now. the Timberwolves been up and down, lost to the Warriors, then came back, got a win, but Anthony Edwards didn't play.
Steph didn't play.
Jimmy Draymond
Green
didn't play. Jimmy Butler out for the year.
You're supposed to win that.
Bones Highland showed up. Nonetheless, a win is a win for this team. They need all the wins they can get because the All-Star break is approaching in a couple of weeks. And then we all know when you come back, February 20th or something like that?
It's a mad dash.
It is a mad dash because now I feel like the playoffs start earlier with the play-in games and people trying to avoid seeds 7 through 10.
Yep.
And so they're fighting hard to get in that top 6. So all those games in the middle of the season, 1-point losses, 1-possession losses, those come back to haunt you now. When you're talking about trying to avoid being a 7 through 10 seed, the Timberwolves right there on the edge like they've been the last couple of years. Nonetheless, I still think they're in a good position to get a 6 seed and avoid that play-in.
Yeah, they definitely need to go into the All-Star break, I think, strong if they can, because I know that the schedule's going to get a little bit tougher. We know that. But, hopefully this Anthony Edwards foot deal is something that can be easily managed. It brings into question, though, how many back-to-backs will he be a part of? Because we have a back-to-back this week. Mm-hmm. And so I'm concerned about his health in that way. But I think that one of the things that's frustrating about the Wolves to me is the fact that this team does not consistently defend. I know. That's the reason why they've had those fourth quarter meltdowns, and specifically, we talked about it last week, the whole thing with Utah. That's just unacceptable. It can't happen.
That's why they lost in the playoffs the last couple of years.
So, yeah, we got to get better defensively, man. And we've talked about this before. Might as well bring it up again. This team is drastically different when Rudy Gobert is on the bench. And look, we get that. We understand that. We know that Rudy Gobert has won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. Mm-hmm. But it can't drop off that dramatically when he goes to the bench.
I agree with you. They got the Mavericks tonight, then they have the Thunder tomorrow at home. That's a big game versus the Thunder. Yep. They need those games this time of year. This is where you get that confidence and whatnot. And like you said, when they defend, they're a completely different team. When they don't defend, that's when we're talking about the same Wolves as of late. So do they have enough? I saw a trade rumors. We love trade rumors. Kobe White, that the Wolves were talking about sending Terrence Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham to Chicago for Kobe White. I don't know if I love that move.
Well, I do the move because
I like the upside in Terrence Shannon Jr. over the try and win now with the Kobe White.
I think I'm seeing some flaws in Terrence Shannon Jr. I know he's young though. That's the issue.
Very young.
He's a second-year player, and so
who doesn't get a lot of tick.
Yeah, because he had injuries.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, offensively, there's no drop-off. Defensively, Terrence Shannon Jr. has struggled to defend. And he knew that he had to be better defensively because I talked to him at NBA Summer League face-to-face, and he says, yeah, with Nikhil leaving, that's a blow. I gotta be good on both ends of the court. Now, the reason why I'm going to slightly side with you is because Kobe White is going to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason, right?
Right.
So yeah. If you had another year on his contract, Kobe White, yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Right.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I just think
because the Rob thing, Rob's not getting no tickets here too. That's
probably got to move on.
Yeah,
he probably need to change the scenery. So I'm not one for giving up young talent, young assets for a rental player for 4 months. I'm never a fan of that, especially in a Terrence Shannon Jr., who I think sky is the limit for him. He has a lot of potential, but has to be a two-way player if he's going to play in Chris Finch's system. A lot of people are saying that Chris Finch has kind of reached his mountaintop, his ceiling here in Minnesota. What are your thoughts on that?
I would 100% disagree.
I think so, too.
I think people are being he's reached his ceiling?
I've heard that a lot.
Now, he just went to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. What are you talking about?
I read that the team needs to move on from Chris Finch.
Cannabis is legal in Minnesota, right? Y'all tripping. The man just coached in back-to-back Western Conference Finals, got his leg taken out the year before. Y'all tripping, man.
So you think he needs to stay?
100%.
All right. So I got to get
I'm a big fan of Chris Finch.
All right.
Chris Finch.
I got to get your thoughts on this. So obviously we're no strangers to what's going on in the city of Minneapolis, state of Minneapolis, and the surrounding cities with ICE and the
Operation Metro Surge.
Yeah, it's been crazy here lately. There's been a lot of people bashing athletes for not having bolder statements. Anthony Edwards was asked about this after the first game against the Warriors, and he said, look, I'm with my city in Minneapolis. He said, I'm not on social media like that. He said, I am kind of aware of what's going on, but I support the city 100%. He said, whatever they with, I'm with. Some people looked at that and was like, what type of statement is that? And other people said, if you're expecting anything other than 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists from that 23, 24-year-old kid, then you're expecting too much. So my thing is, what's your take on athletes being asked about societal influences around the world and their thoughts? Do they need to share their thoughts on that situation, or do people just need to remember they are athletes and it's not their job to get involved and make political statements?
Yeah, I would say this, because I'm kind of from the old school, and as a Morehouse man and as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, the lens that I look through and speak through, I feel like there's no way that anything can happen in the world, and I'm not going to speak on it. Mm-hmm. Now, with regards to professional athletes, it's an individualized thing. It's not cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. There are going to be athletes that will step out and say things because they feel they must make a statement or they have thoughts and opinions that they want to share. Do I think that every athlete is obligated necessarily? No, but when you hear, it's different. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Anthony Edwards should have to say anything about it, because I don't think that's who Anthony Edwards is.
It's not.
That's just not who he is. Okay. Do I think that as he matures, that he'll probably maybe feel and grow into being more comfortable speaking out on things? I think he'll probably get to that time in his life. But at 24, that's not where he is, because that's not him.
Right.
I do think that the proximity matters, though. Mm-hmm. He's here. Mm-hmm. He's here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I think some people will look at Ant or any athlete, because to me this is not just about Ant, because there's athletes here that are saying stuff. Mm-hmm. You've got the players from the Frost that spoke out over the weekend. Listen, you can look up his actual age, because I don't know if he's I don't even know if he's 21 yet. But Wemby was so eloquent.
He was.
In talking to the media yesterday. So I don't – everybody's different.
But he also stopped short of really saying how he felt.
No, but everybody got the message. He said, and this the thing. He stood on business because he said, yeah, PR been trying to get me, but nah, I got to talk.
He did say that.
So everybody's different. The proximity of where you are to the situation, I think, matters, but also who you are as an individual yourself, that plays a massive role in it.
Do you think athletes should be judged differently from, say, the parents of these kids that idolize them? Do you think they should be looked at differently because their willingness to stay out of the spotlight when it comes to things outside of their normalcy in sports? So, like, say, for instance, athletes say, I really don't have a comment on that, blah, blah, blah. Do you think parents should look at them and be like, what? You're a millionaire. You're a face of this community. Like, you should have a thought or a say in something like this that's happening blocks away from you.
I think parents have. I think that parents have a right to feel a certain way because you're paying for tickets, you're buying merchandise, you're a consumer, you support said player, said franchise, said organization. Yeah, I don't have an issue with a parent having some expectations. I don't. I have expectations for us in sports media to speak on stuff. That's just me.
I think that if a player wants to speak on something with their platform and it's big, they should.
But with that being said, they should be informed.
And that's what I was about to say. I also think that we shouldn't rush to put a microphone in athletes' faces, especially if they aren't informed on said topic, if they really don't know the ins and outs of what's really going on, because now it's a misinformed take. And there's a lot of people who follow these athletes who will just take their word as Bible and law. And it's like, well, they said it, so this is what I'm behind. But it's like, do you know if that athlete is really well-versed on the topic? Have they done all their homework before they spoke publicly on their platform about this? So
it's different asking, though, a Viking player or a Timberwolves player or a Wild player about Russia and Ukraine versus something that's happening here on our streets.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Look, to each his own. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I understand why athletes would want to stay out of the spotlight because, look, talking to some of my friends that play professional sports, those guys can lose a lot of money when they start speaking how they really feel. And at the end of the day, you only have a certain window of time where you can capitalize and make as much money as you can off your athletic talents. And so
I think the criticism, Ant, is ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it was very unfair when I saw that.
You.
Because honestly, I was at the game and I was like, all right, do I go in the locker room and try and ask Ant this question? I was like, no, that's not Ant. I was like, he's not one like, not say he's a bad guy or anything, but it's like him speaking on political issues. What are we going to get from that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like I didn't see it as a person that we should have went out and talked to. Now, Steve Kerr was here, and I thought we should go talk to him because
100%.
He's always open about this.
Yeah, I mean, his father was assassinated. Like, Steve Kerr got history. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I do think it's part of the job, though. I will say that it's part of the job. Like, you can't be in this business and not ask that question. Because what if you ask Anthony Edwards? What if you ask Rudy Gobert? What if you ask any member of the Wolves and they give you the most eloquent answer?
Agreed.
Now, the downside to that is they say something that just isn't good, which nobody did that. So
I just think we need to sometimes stop forcing athletes to be role models, although I think they are because of the position they're in and the platform they have. You also have to do your homework at home and be like, all right, so this is a great football or basketball player, but what's this guy like off the court? Is this something I really want? Is this somebody I really want my kids idolizing and growing up and wanting to be like? So I think I agree with athletes when they say, I didn't ask to be a role model. I didn't ask your 8-year-old to come up to me and follow everything that I do. On the court is one thing, but how they act off the court is another thing. And I also think that parents need to vet their kid, who their kids' favorite players are, and shed more light on, like, hey, maybe this is why we should look at another player to look at. You can have his skills, but be like this player off the court, etc.
Yeah, but you can't really force your kid into loving a player.
No, and I understand it, but I also think you should understand that, like, look, tell your kid, like, everything that he say ain't law, like, or she says isn't law. Like, you don't have to follow their every doing. And so I think there's a fine line when you talk about role models, responsibilities as professional athletes. You love it when they speak up, but also you have to realize what's on the line when they do speak up about certain topics.
Shout out to Colin Kaepernick.
Exactly. So trailblazer in his own way, but I think he also helped a lot of athletes learn their lessons and stuff like that. I had a buddy of mine, we spoke about it on our podcast, where he basically said that the owner at the time, Mr. McNair for the Texans, during the Colin Kaepernick kneeling situation during the national anthem, he said basically he came in the locker room and said, we're losing a lot of sponsors because you guys are kneeling. You guys need to stand up. And my buddy said he lost the locker room as soon as he did that. But it's also like, all right, like, just because he lost the locker room, everybody wasn't going to go out there and kneel because they had other ramifications and things like that. So it's a slippery slope when you talk about these professional athletes, the platforms they have. But I just didn't agree with the discourse surrounding Ant and what he did or didn't say to the people.
I agree with you 100%.
I just didn't feel like that was the right place. And if he wants to talk about it, let him talk about it.
He didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you wanted more out of it, but you got enough, and you got exactly what you needed from him. All right, so the Timberwolves, big weekend, like we just mentioned. Got the Mavericks tonight, got the Thunder tomorrow, then got another game Sunday back at the crib. So big stretch of basketball for them. Wild, surprising win last night.
Well, over Chicago, they were trailing 3-0. Let me say this, and they ended up winning in a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gonna. I think that game last night could be huge for the Wild.
You think so?
It seemed like when they were able to get it to overtime, because they got it to overtime, they scored that final goal within, it was like the last 2 minutes of the game. And to see them exit after the goalie didn't give the Great Wall, he didn't give up anything in the shootout. He didn't give up anything in the shootout. I think that's something that could be a spark.
Second in the Central Division right now. So, obviously, good things are in store for this team, but can they get over that hump in the first round when they get there? That's the big thing. You can get there, but can you play well in that first round? That's to be determined right now. That's what we're waiting on seeing. Playoffs are approaching for the hockey, for NHL as well. April is when they start, around the same time as the NBA season, so things are starting to ramp up.
Can the Gophers get their lick back tonight against Wisconsin? That'll be a tough one on the road. Wisconsin typically plays much better at home than they do on the road.
They do.
But let's see if we can get that lick back.
And the Gophers women's team, they're on the road as well, taking on Penn State. So a big weekend for Gopher hoops. Both teams, I won't say in desperate need because the women just got one, but the men need to snap their 5-game losing skid. What better way to do it than to beat your border rival in a border battle? So, you need to go ahead. You need to go ahead and do that. So, we'll be back next week, same time, same place. We'll have more interesting topics, and hopefully we'll get Henry Lake's opinion on who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl since he was too shy to do it today. So, we'll see what he has next week. We'll see y'all then.